Because I think if a victim comes out against Usher, it'll show how egregious it is. Because if he can be a predator, then anybody can be a predator.
Can't smile in your face the whole time.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, people look at Usher, they don't see that. They're not seeing the victim. They're not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn some...
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it.
You know, Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, you know, he could buy you one also while you're
He
out.
got me a Lamborghini.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last
He
time.
had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Just like it wasn't fluid that Justin Bieber was wiping away from his mouth when he brought his face up from Odell Beckham's groin in a club with Trey Songz on the lookout.
The images are there.
Diddy-fied.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything?
Yeah.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Months ago, I was really struggling mentally and emotionally, and just there were so many things that were adding up, and I wasn't able to enjoy any of the things that I own.
That stuff's not gonna matter to you.
None of the actual things did anything because I was so hurt and I was so confused and I was so sick and there was all these things and I was like, I can't, there's like, you just can't, like you said, you can't enjoy the actual physical, tangible, like things that money offers, right?
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me.
The you of then was on a path of self-destruction.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have, for sure, 100%. Yeah. It would have been no bueno. It was bad. I don't know if I'd be alive, for sure. It was dark. So I'm very, very grateful to have influences in my life that have played a huge part in me seeing their relationship with Jesus and their relationship with their wives and their relationship with their kids and saying that's what I want. But I want to definitely tell my story so that if that resonates to anybody, that they can hopefully.
Justin Bieber is finally speaking out, and what he just revealed about his early years with Usher and Diddy is making people take a second look at the music industry. When Justin was just 15 years old, he was thrown into a world of flashing lights, loud stages, and powerful adults. But behind all the fame was something else, something far more complicated. This isn't just about stardom, it's about trust. And what happens when people you look up to don't protect you, but instead lead you somewhere you never expected to be. Justin Bieber's journey into the spotlight began with a few simple YouTube videos. He was just a kid from Stratford, Ontario, singing songs with his mom and uploading performances for friends and family. But those videos caught the eye of Scooter Braun, a young talent manager looking for the next big thing. Braun quickly recognized Justin's potential and reached out to his family. Soon after, Justin found himself flying to Atlanta, Georgia to begin what he thought would be a dream come true. But that's where Usher comes in. Usher, a global superstar at the time, was positioned as the perfect mentor for a young artist. He was polished, connected, and respected in the industry. So when he stepped in and helped sign Justin to a joint venture between Raymond Braun Media Group and Island Records, it seemed like the perfect setup. On paper, it was a match made in music heaven. But looking back, Justin has hinted that his experiences as a young artist were not as glamorous as they appeared. In multiple interviews over the years, Justin has described feeling overwhelmed, pressured, and often unsure of who to trust. While most young stars face growing pains, what Justin has described feels more like being caught in a machine, one that didn't always have his best interests at heart. And now, with more time and perspective, he started to speak more clearly about how certain people around him contributed to that confusion. According to Justin, his introduction to Sean Diddy Combs happened early, too early. In an old interview that recently resurfaced, a 15-year-old Justin recounted how Diddy once told him, "You're with me now for 48 hours. Justin laughed at the time. He didn't realize how serious that moment would become in hindsight. What stood out in the clip was how Justin described being picked up, separated from his team, and flown out to New York. He said Diddy promised him a luxury car if he spent a weekend under his supervision. Again, at the time, it sounded playful. But now, fans are rewatching that moment, and they're not smiling. Because here's the thing, Justin didn't have full control of his life at 15. He was impressionable, trusting, and completely dependent on the adults around him to guide him safely through the most powerful industry in the world. And when Usher helped open that door to Diddy, Justin walked through it without knowing what he was stepping into. Justin has spoken about feeling like he didn't have a voice, that things moved too fast, that he didn't get to slow down and ask questions. It was always on to the next photo shoot, the next stage, the next handshake. And through all of it, the adults smiled and told him it was all part of the journey. But the pressure wasn't just about work, it was about expectations, it was about loyalty. And Justin has hinted at times that saying no in those early years didn't feel like an option. One thing that stands out in Justin's more recent reflections is how often he talks about healing, about recovery, about trying to find peace with a past that wasn't always clear. And for many fans, the pieces are finally starting to fall into place. What happened in those early days shaped who he became. It's easy to forget that Justin Bieber was a child when all of this started. A child surrounded by celebrities, contracts, cameras, and constant travel. A child who needed guidance but didn't always get it, and now that he's speaking more honestly, people are realizing how much was hidden behind the curtain. Usher hasn't responded directly to the renewed scrutiny. In past interviews, he's talked about how proud he is of Justin. He's mentioned their connection, but he's never addressed the deeper concerns, like why a 15-year-old was being introduced to figures like Diddy in unsupervised settings, or why no one stepped in when the pressures started to build. Diddy, on the other hand, is now at the center of multiple investigations. Allegations about misconduct, control, and inappropriate behavior have piled up. Lawsuits have been filed, witnesses have testified, and the public is watching closely. For Justin, these revelations bring up old wounds, but they also bring clarity. In his own words, he said that he had to rebuild from the ground up, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it's not hard to see why. The industry that raised him didn't always protect him, and the people who were supposed to look out for him ended up leading him into chaos. Justin Bieber's story is still unfolding, but as more pieces come out, interviews, footage, testimonials, the picture becomes clearer. And one thing is certain, Usher and Diddy played a bigger role than anyone realized. The truth matters. And for Justin, telling it might be the most powerful thing he's ever done.